I don't usually like puns, but I couldn't, once I thought of that one, I couldn't not use it. So just to be clear, this doesn't have anything to do with my work at Amazon. This is a side project where I was wondering about the how to compare online printing services. So basically, I used a series of tubes to order a series of tubes. Here's the question I wanted to answer. What's the best website to order map art prints from? And the scenario here that I'm thinking about is when it's a hobby or a side project, not your real-time job, and you just want to order one or two, a few, a short run, not enough to work with a real professional printer, like a local printer. So I developed a list of requirements so I could evaluate them. Again, a short run, ideally just one print, although I did order from one place with a minimum of 25 prints. I chose 11 by 17 posters, sort of a poster size. It was the size that the most number of these services offered. That was in the affordable price range. I was a little loose with that. I accepted one 11 by 14 and 12 by 18 as well, so I can include more. I wanted a matte finish. That's just an aesthetic preference on my part. So I tried to order the most matte that I could. And of course, good print quality and good customer experience. So as I was thinking about this project, I wondered what would be a good image to use. It needed to be challenging to print well, a wide range of light to dark colors, and a lot of fine, interesting details. So then I saw a fortuitous Twitter post from my friend Dan Coe, who's here somewhere. He had created this beautiful image. It was around Christmas time, and I thought, hey, that might make a good gift, but he didn't really know how to get going with selling these. So the conversation continued, and Dan kindly allowed me to use this image for the project. This is the Susitna River in Alaska. So this is what I sent to the online services. Here are the companies I tried, 14 in total. Uprinting, Staples, Flickr, Vistaprint, Canvas Champ, Printful, Shutterfly, SmartPressed, MPix, 48 Hour Print, Poster Burner, Short Run Posters, Nations Photo Lab, and Zazzle. There are a few other companies I didn't try. Walgreens and Overnight Prints only offered glossy. FedEx Office only offered really big sizes and nothing in the size range I was looking for. And I did try to order from the UPS store, which was formerly Kinko's, and I got this error a couple of times and gave up. So the first area I could evaluate was customer experience, which I could do before I even got the prints. The first obvious factor here is price. I combined print price and shipping price because the way they break down between the companies varies, but when you add them together, there's a pretty clear median there of $16.51. This is for one. The exception is Uprinting on the end. That's the one with the 25 print minimum. Some sites were having a sale, but I used the sale price because sales seem really common and in fact may be permanent on some of these sites. Okay, to save money, I always chose the cheapest possible shipping option. So I didn't grade them on speed, but rather their shipping estimate and whether they met it. Almost everybody met the estimate, many beat it, and only one did not meet the estimate, ironically 48 Hour Print, which actually did not meet the estimate by more than 48 hours. So this printing scenario is common for a side project, like I said, so I wanted to gauge whose customer support could help me outside of work hours. So I tried to contact each of them on a Friday evening, Pacific time, between 7 and 8 p.m. To ask, and the question I thought of asking was, if I order an 11 by 17 poster printed, will it be shipped flat or in a tube? For Uprinting, I modified it a little bit because of the 25 minimum. So here's how that worked out. 6 of them have online chat support at that time, and the rest got back pretty quickly in the same night. A few got back to me the next morning, and the other 5 there made me wait a couple of days, like either till Sunday or even to Monday. Once I got my posters, I verified the answer to the question, and 3 of them got it wrong. So for 15 days after I ordered, I counted how many spam emails each company sent me. I didn't count legitimate order-related messages, just advertising. Over half of the companies sent none. And then Nation's Photo Lab sent me a staggering 23, which is more than one a day. I was very happy when I could finally unsubscribe from them. So I didn't score on these things, but I thought they were interesting. Aside from the 5 posters that were shipped flat, about half the companies rolled the paper so the map was inside and half so the map was outside, and I don't know why. I got a variety of tubes, triangular and cylindrical, and many were way bigger than needed. Vistaprint sent me a tube in a box. None of these things really correlated with quality. The packages were shipped from all over the US, mostly. Vistaprints came from Canada, and Canvas Champ shipped from India very quickly, but it had a small rip in the side, which was disappointing. All right, so I assigned scores and weights to these things I just talked about: price, shipping estimate, customer service response, and spam emails, and arrived at this overall score for customer experience. A big factor in the top 3 is that they were significantly cheaper than the median price. Then the prints arrived, and it was time to assess print quality. I had 14 prints of the same image. I lined them all up and took this picture. I didn't edit this photo, but you can't really tell. They look really different. So I tried to figure out a quantitative way to assess which ones were better and which ones were worse. So I came up with a few aspects that I could rate: texture, quality of the light colors, quality of the dark colors, and sharpness. So for texture, I really wanted a lush, matte texture. So I put them in 5 buckets based on how matte they were. The ones that I rated best really looked like velvet. Good is at least matte all over. On the bad side, the darks were glossy and the lights were matte, like where the paper was just showing through. And worst, the ones in worst, they're just all glossy. Despite my best efforts to only order matte, these are things that were often called like luster, turned out kind of glossy. I didn't rate paper quality. There's a variety of thicknesses and paper types, but they all seemed fine to me, and if I'm going to hang it on the wall, it doesn't really matter. So then I lined them up this way, and I compared how they did on the light colors. Many of the prints had too much green in the light side of the image. This happened in 12 of the prints, while 2 of them didn't have enough green. I'll share my slides after. Then I lined them the other way and compared how they did on the dark colors. A common problem here was that the blacks were often too purple. 11 of the prints had this issue to some degree. And then several prints have a noticeably grainy look, so I used that metric as well. I rated each of them on graininess. The best ones had no visible grain to the naked eye, and the good ones had almost none, and then all the way down to the bad side and the worst side where it looked very grainy, especially in kind of the medium colors. I took a magnified picture of the same location on each print to try to guess what print method was used, because I wasn't usually given a choice by these companies. The ones there, I guess they were photo ink because there were uniform colors with no white space, just less grainy and more shiny. The stochastic there, that's the random pattern. There are multiple ink colors going on, probably CMYK ink, but maybe with some spot colors on some of them. And then the traditional offset printing rosette pattern on 2 of them. I gave you a little sneak preview of the final quality scores just so you can see how they fell as far as print method. But I'll get back to that. First, you may be wondering how I took these close-up photos. I got this little stick-on micro lens that I put on my phone. It's only $9 if you want one. They're cool. Most of the background images, except the ones taken of these maps, a lot of them came from the Atlas of Design. One of them. So here are the overall scores for print quality. For each metric, I put them in those buckets, and then I scored the buckets from -2 to +2 and added them all up. So you can sort of see how things fell as far as print quality. Now it's time to combine the customer experience and print quality scores into the final results. So I just combined all my numbers and ended up with these scores. I knew that Nations at the bottom was really getting dinged for all that spam, so I wanted to sanity check these, because it's the output of a sum. So I wanted to kind of look at it a different way to make sure that it felt like the right results, and to make sure that one bad aspect wasn't burying an otherwise great contender. So I went back to this sort of bucketing method, and what this is did they have good print quality and good customer experience, or one of each, or neither, basically. So I looked at this, and it kind of lined up with the sums. So the scores seemed right. And so here are my top 3. Poster burner, print full and short run posters. They had good experience and good quality. And I'll also mention U-printing. That one had good print quality. The main issue with that one was that they don't answer messages over the weekend. So if that's not an issue for you, that's also somebody to consider. But they're the ones with the 25 print minimum, which makes the per print price very cheap, but it's expensive if you only want one. So because of U-printing's 25 print minimum, I have a handful, maybe 15 or so extra prints of this one. So I'm going to continue the research one further step, because a common question is, how much should an artist charge for their work when it's a print? So if you're interested in buying one of these, you pay me what you think is a fair price. And don't compare amongst each other or anything like that. And then I'll gather all that together and somehow get that out. The proceeds will go to cover the cost of this project, all the printing, and then anything extra I'll give back to Dan. And that's it.